Hello and very welcome to episode 299 of Treaty Talk. I'm Tom Clancy. I'll be joined by Matt O'Callaghan momentarily. We've plenty to discuss. We have the makeup of the knockout stages of plenty of the grades in the Limerick Hurling Championships. We'll be getting through those. We're getting through the permutations now in the Camogie ladies football, and we'll be looking ahead to the Limerick Senior Football Championship quarterfinals, all coming up in the next hour or so.
Impression again, we get out with what you put into it. It's like a walk of life. If you're good enough, go out and get it, no more about it.
But not so much control in the centre of the field from Kilkenny as Richie Bennett sends it high and over the bar.
Your mother sends you down to the shop for a pound's worth of goods and she gives you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. Oh, well done, Shawnee Buckley. To do that to Tomas O'Shea, he deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the Sunday game.
Limerick went out there from the word go today. No more about it. They made all the running, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and the back of it, and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We have a couple of injuries. Here comes Kieran Carey. Carey leading the charge of the right brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it hard. He's put it over.
There's no sympathy in this game for anybody.
Yep, so as I said, welcome along to episode 299. Matt O'Callaghan, how are you?
I'm good, Tom. Good after a great weekend of sport. Sure, why wouldn't I? I'm looking forward to another weekend of it starting tomorrow night.
Yeah, it seems one week bleeds into the other, the way the things are going. Hurling.
Now, the only thing about it, Tom, is practically from now on, everything is nearly knockout, with the exception of the final round of the Premier Intermediate, you know?
Yeah, and a lot of clubs.
Which is building up nicely, but not as nice as it was 2 years ago when you had 6 teams going into the final day in with a chance of making the last 3. It was at that time, I think there was only 1 team out of it at that stage, but it's not as good this year because, and we'll be talking about it later now, and a couple of teams have fallen off the cliff a small bit, but nevertheless, it has been a very, very good competition. I was out at 3 of the games during the week. Now, one of them was a mismatch, and the other 2 were decently competitive, you know.
Yeah, we'll come to those in a minute. I was at the other game in that as well. So between us, we saw all 8 teams in the second tier as well. We'll start with the senior as we tend to do, Matt. A quick recap, I think, is probably all that the senior A, or the Group 1 as it's known. A quick recap of that. We saw wins for Na Piarsaigh over Mungert St. Paul's. Probably no great surprise there. Na Piarsaigh finishing with 4 wins from 5. Mungert, unfortunately, heading down without a point to their name. The other games in that group, Kilmallock getting the better of Patrick Swell. It was a game that you and I maybe just leaned towards Kilmallock, but it was a bit of a stab in the dark because we didn't know which of these which way these teams would fall on it. And the big surprise in this one, Matt, Doon beaten quite heavily by an already eliminated hand. That was a bit of a shock, wasn't it?
That was a bit of a shock now. It was a bit of a shock, but I suppose, you know, it's the nature of dead rubbers that they can show up what appears to be a shock. Now, a hand, when the stakes were much higher last year, really put it up to Doon. But, you know, just to imagine that there is a full turnaround like that, I'm not so sure. But with a break of about 3 weeks, is it to the county semi-final or thereabouts, or 4 weeks to the county semi-final?
Yeah.
3 weeks. You know, that I would have thought that Doon would have been looking and saying, right, you know, this is our last big competitive game, you know, before we go into a semi-final against them. They're going in against either Patrick Swell or Ballybrown.
No, it's Patrick Swell or Monaleen.
Sorry, Patrick Swell or Monaleen, my apologies. Patrick Swell or Monaleen.
Yeah.
So, you know, you'd say to yourself to be ready for that. But, you know, I'm sure Derek McGrath and his management team knows what's best. And you would probably have to say, like, that they weren't going to be at full throttle, you know, in that game, or risk injury, which, you know, God knows, do know enough about injury from after last year.
Yeah,
and we'll be joined by one of them later in the program, as you know.
Yeah, we'll come to him in a minute. But Doon had the bulk of the team that we have seen win the four 4 games from 4 before that. So that's
They
probably the
have,
surprise, you know.
Tom, but you qualify that kind of a result by saying there was absolutely nothing at stake.
Yeah. Oh,
There was nothing at stake. Doon could not have been dislodged out of top spot. A hand couldn't break into the top 3, you know. So into the top 4. So look, I don't know. I'm not saying that we should take it with a grain of salt. Certainly pride was at stake for a hand, and I'm still waiting, you know, and it has been very close for the last 2 or 3 years for a hand to deliver a result like that when it matters.
Yeah.
That will catapult them into the top 4. And I think Limerick hurling, you know, is waiting for it as well. Yeah, because we've had the same 4 coming through year after year after year. And it needs change. And from this remove anyway, and I honestly thought that a hand could possibly do it this year. And I said it here in this medium a couple of times. I was fiercely disappointed the night they played Kilmallock.
Yeah. That was the turning point, as it were. Really, they just didn't. You know, if they took something, even a draw from that game, it would have kept their interest all the way to the end, regardless. But it just didn't.
Absolutely, because they beat. They gave bags of it to Kilmallock last year. They gave bags of it to Doon. I saw that game. I saw all 3 games against Kilmallock, Doon, and Patrickswell. And they practically did everything but win 1 or 2 of those games, you know. And I was saying to myself, you know, looking at the configuration of the team and what have you, that they might be better placed this year to do it, but it just didn't happen for them. And a hand want to do it, and I would say in a broader sense that Limerick hurling want them to do it.
Yeah,
you know,
it's good.
We need to get away from the monotony of starting out, you know, in this competition, and there's an acceptance that it's na Piarsaigh, Doon, Patrickswell, and Kilmallock.
Yeah, and the only
that
thing
is no disrespect whatsoever to any one of the 4 of those. But we need that there's jeopardy there, that either they are hands or we'll say the Ballybrown next year, you know, that they can break into that, you know.
Yeah. That's the challenge, isn't it? For them though, just the final point in the hand, it's strong and positive for them that they'd finished their season with a victory. They've beaten one of the big 4. You know, they'd knocked on the door a couple of times. I think they drew it in the Piarsaigh in the final round a few years ago, but now they've beaten one of them. So look, that's cause for optimism into 2025. I know they're probably going to play the County Cup or should be involved in that, but the actual championship itself, you know, that's the trick. They've beaten one of the teams. Now, can they do it, as you said, when it matters? That's what they need to do next. Yeah. Okay. The other game in that group, I mentioned it already. Just to highlight one of the performances of the week from Mr. Shane O'Brien. Let's have a look at this point first, and we'll discuss his performance and Kilmallock's in a second.
Son ní Revan Ray Tour Dunho Callahan sásta leis. Ní sé Raiglin a ríist. Mar chean sú Aaron Schlitter. Dúir sé féin a scór hen gant out dinnig. Ha máisteach ag Shane O'Brien Aaron Glahisa.
Sár scór, sár an chéad tagháil tuigh mé gúilte seo ag cíimiid sa sár tagháil an son Leroy Landshiv dummy ag Cove Ma.
Yeah, no,
I always afford myself a wry smile when I see that, because we forecasted about 4 years ago that there was Shane O'Brien was going to be somebody special.
Yeah,
and I know, by God, is he living up to it? You know,
he is. Yeah, and I suppose we haven't. It was the first time there's been again broadcast this year, so we haven't had a chance to share clips as we would have loved to have done from various other players, or indeed Shane himself. But every time he takes to the field, he does something magic like that. It seems anyway. And I going back to Harty Cup days when we'd have streamed games, and obviously in the championship in Limerick in the last few years, and with Limerick, we've seen it time and again. So 7 points for him, a 4-point win for Kilmallock. I think what they wanted from this, Matt, is talking to Peter Creeley afterwards, they wanted to get through. Well, they were already through, but they wanted to head into the knockouts with a win under their belt, not to be going in with 2 consecutive losses. That was the target for them. That's what they did.
They did, and it was very, very interesting to see that they named Paddy O'Brien at full back. First of all, it's very good to see Pod back,
Yeah,
And
Benny Burke
I,
was
I,
injured.
I had
so
a
he was
feeling
out.
that when I saw Kilmallock this year that they had difficulties in the full back line, and if and you were there now, Tom, and you can inform whether it was something that worked or not.
No, it did. It did. Benny Burke was out for injury, so Paddy O'Brien, I
Yeah.
think he'd only played a couple of minutes, quite literally.
That's
a couple
all.
of minutes
Literally a couple
early
of minutes he had played,
against
and
yeah.
Paddy's a fantastic player and a fantastic leader on the field. And if Paddy can, adapt to fullback now, I haven't seen him playing there before. Maybe he played there once before. But
We've seen him
what a
at
boost to Kilmallock. First of all, to have him back, and
Yeah.
and second, if he resolves that, very hard to pinpoint where the difficulty was in the full back line. But there were difficulties there, and if you look at the Kilmallock full back line over the last 5 games, there has been an inordinate amount of change in it. And like when you're looking for a settled team, one place in particular that you want to be settled is in your full back line.
Yeah, he did.
And
yeah.
if Paddy resolves that, and I'd have confidence in Paddy to do so, then Kilmallock will be. I tipped them to win the championship at the start. I will say that, and I have no notion on reneging on it yet, Tom.
Right. Yeah. No. It's and these teams, because as we know, they're used to getting to this stage. They probably know it's about getting through the group, and you can start to really, hit their straps, as it were, from here on in. Patrick Swell, 2 wins, 3 defeats, not the sort of form line you want going into knockouts. And again, I say that with the caveat of they did their business when it mattered, they're true, but not exactly pulling up any trees. Now, Cian Lynch didn't play, he did tog out, he didn't play. Aaron Gillan didn't tog out for the second game in a row. So an injury concern there. If they have the two of them available to them, they're a completely different beast, I think it's fair to say. But Jack Gallagher also went down with injury as well. So they'll be fretting over the 3 of them at least, and maybe a couple of others as well, because, Patrick Swell, they need the full deck, I think, to really trouble the Doones, the Kilmallocks and the Piercigs when it really matters. They need everyone, I think, available to them.
Yeah, but I'm sure that Kieran Carey is, rather than being worried, I'd say he's probably lapping up all this.
Yeah.
In that his team are more or less being written off. We're not writing them off. Far from writing you're right off Patrick Swell at your peril. And it'll be very, very interesting to see the Patrick Swell in the quarterfinal.
Yeah.
That is going to be a very exciting quarterfinal. Trust me, I've seen Monaleen in the last 3 games, and I'm hugely impressed by him. We'll be talking about themselves in Kildare Pallaskenry in a minute, And I know they're probably disappointed that they didn't go up to Group 1. Maybe at the stage of development they are, which is very, very far down the road, it might be a bullet missed. I would say another year will probably make them into a very, very formidable outfit. Plus the opportunity to play knockout hurling this year, is giving this group of players a first taste. And no matter how you look at it, and we were speaking, I think Tom was going into the second round, that Monaleen had to do more than consolidate this year. And by God did that. And I expected them to do it at that stage. And we don't bring Brislane in here, their manager, a couple of weeks ago, and you recall we put it to him about these young players holding down important positions, which is unusual at this level. But that is going to be a very, very interesting game with Patrick Swell, and I'm sure Patrick Swell would be taking no chances whatsoever with Monaleen.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you on that. The Patrick Swell thing, I suppose. Yeah, look, we've covered that there. We're looking now at Group 2. I think it's fair to say. Monaleen, the only team in the championship on a current winning run of 4 wins from 4, because they lost the first round, but they've bounced back. Everyone else has had a stumble or 2 along the way. Very impressive to get there. Squeezing out Kildare and Pallaskenry, who, in fairness to them, battling on both codes, they've had their injury troubles. Haven't had the full deck, and talking about Patrick Swell needing everyone, Kildare and Pallaskenry definitely needed everyone, and just missing out narrowly by 3 points in Mungret on Sunday.
Look, my heart went out to him at the end of the game. You know, no Tony McCarthy, no Cahill Downs, no Darren O'Connell. You know, and that has been the story mainly for the most part for their year. Did Darren O'Connell play a bit of a game? I know he played a few football games, all right.
Yeah, he played. I think he played in the first 2 rounds, but yeah, has been.
But if you're missing that type of quality, Tom, like you know, it's very, very difficult. Oh Lord, they made it really hard for Monaghan, no question. Kyle Hayes, you know, what can we say about Kyle Hayes that hasn't been said about his prowess as a hurler? Absolutely second to none. You know, the game was less than 2 minutes old when he fielded a high ball that came into the square and delicately offloaded it to Peter Nash to bury it in the Monaghan net. You know, that was the first score of the game. But then we saw character from Monaghan. They hit the next 5 points, you know, and then Matthew Fitzgerald got a goal. You know, that I thought Matthew Fitzgerald, you know, again was in top form. But Tom, a man that we speak very little about, but we have to speak about him on this occasion, as he had an excellent game, and if there was a man of the match award, I think he would be very much in the running for it, and that's Lachlan McHale.
Yeah.
He hit
midfield, wasn't he?
He was playing midfield, but he hit 3 magnificent points in the second half, all at crucial stages. Like, because at half-time, Monaghan led by 3 points. Now, whatever breeze there was in favour of Kildimo Pallaskenry in the second half, and within 10 minutes there, it wiped out and gone 2 points ahead. But Donegal Dolly, Tommy, he got 3 points in as many minutes. The second one, absolutely spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. I've rarely seen as good a point. You know, and he ended up with 6 or 7 points, all from play, you know. You know, he's so important to the team. And the half-back line, particularly when Kildimo came at him in the finish, I thought Darragh Langan grew into the game. Ronan Lyons was Ronan Lyons, Lachlan Lyons,
yeah.
You know, which is never below a certain level. Ronan Lyons as well. But full credit to Kildimo Pallaskenry. Any other club in the situation that they have been in, you know, trying to juggle between hurling and football, probably having a greater crossover than their counterparts, you know, and you know, instead of wallowing like with those that were absent, it just drove them on to a new level, you know. And as I said, when it came to the final whistle, I was very, very, very sorry for him, given the circumstances. Oh, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure to see Kyle Hayes at full forward. He's playing general, and he sent over 4 beautiful points during the course of the game, you know. But overall, like Kildimo Pallaskenry, I'm already looking forward to next year's B section, because you're going to have Mungret St. Paul's, you're going to have Monaghan, you're going to have a rejuvenated Kildimo Pallaskenry, because hopefully Tony Mack and Cahill Downs will be back, whether Dan O'Connell returns from Australia or not. And of course, you must remember that they lost Barry O'Connell as well at the start of the year, who transferred to Tumivara.
Yeah, he's a big weekend ahead for the county semi-final up there.
County semi-final. So, like, you know, tis things just didn't go well for Kildimo Pallaskenry, but you have to say they made the most of it, Tom.
Yeah, that's fair to say.
Full credit to them, and they picked up the minor A hurling championship.
Yeah, only a week or 10 days ago. The other game in this group in terms of promotion was Ballybrown saw their return to the senior A because of they're going through one head-to-head. They had a very exciting 420 to 418 victory over Drummond at Lacca. Aidan O'Connor got a first half hat-trick. David Breen on the other side hit 3-1 from play for Drummond at Lacca. Sounded like a chaotic game from start to finish. Ballybrown played most of it, well, slightly more than the majority of it, with 14 men. But you know, it seemed to use a lot of their lives, Matt, to get over the line here and make it 4 wins from 5 and win the group. But what a game it's by the sounds of it.
Yeah, we were saying after round 2, and I made the statement here that that will take a very, very good team to stop Ballybrown being promoted. And I for 1 minute, Tom, hadn't anticipated the wobbles that they have since. Against Kildimo Pallaskinry getting over the line, against the Dare going down by a substantial margin, and just barely holding out on Sunday. You would say to yourself, possibly not the ideal preparation going into a game against Kilmallock, but you must remember that we're going into knockout hurling now. It's going to take on a different dynamic, and if you look back on the records, Ballybrown have never been fazed by Kilmallock, and like they will be in a position. They'll say to themselves, "Look, we have suffered a dip in form from our early season form, but we got away with it. So we've played our get out of jail card, so we can give this a lash. Nothing to lose, And like nobody will tell me that they haven't the players, because they have. Now, I know that they might be suffering a bit from injury and that sort of thing. But I suppose that comes with, it comes with the territory, especially at this time of the year. When players have played a multiple of matches, and in a lot of cases, some of them have played in both codes. So we're really getting into the meaty end of the respective championships in both hurling and football at this stage.
Yeah. And a word match for Drummond at Lacka. First year up senior in 15 seasons, 2 wins to start it off, but just squeeze out, I suppose, 3 games in a row then to, finish in 4th place in the group.
Yeah. I think any objective looking at it would say it has been a successful season for Drummond at Lacka. I don't think for 1 minute that Drummond at Lacka would accept that analysis of it, because like they had higher aspirations and higher hopes, and fair play to them for having them, and they got off to a great start with 2 wins out of 2. And like, when you think of teams coming up, Tom, you always think, first of all, consolidation, staying up. It's ingrained in the head that the first thing we have got to do is make sure we don't go back down. And by God, they did it and did it in style.
Yeah.
But and they were a bit unlucky after that, Tom. Unlucky to Kildimo Pallaskinry. Now I saw them against Monaleen, and they hurled Monaleen hurled very well, matched them shoulder to shoulder, I suppose, for 40 minutes. But that is one of the great traits of this Monaleen team, is that they can finish very strongly. Finished very strongly last Sunday against Kildimo Pallaskinry. Finished strong against Drummond at Lacka. Finished very strong against the Dare in the 3rd round. But Drummond at Lacka, people were writing them off from the start. And I couldn't understand that narrative, Tom. And this might be a simplistic way of why I didn't understand that narrative. First of all, they had David Reedy. But they had also they had 5 members of the Limerick under-20 team, including the captain, Keane Scully. Who in terms of making the Limerick senior team and the Limerick senior panel, did himself no harm at all whatsoever over the 5 games.
No, by all accounts, I think I only saw them in the first round, but since then the reports have been good on him. So that's it. Ballybrown and Monaleen through. Kildimo Pallaskinry, Drummond at Lacka miss out, but at the bottom of the table, Matt, the game that no one, I suppose, wanted to be involved in, Dare collecting a second victory, kind of running away with it in the end. They really outclassed South Liberties in the end, and the Souths are down. 2009, I think they won the Intermediate Championship. They're back.
That's right.
They're heading for Premier Intermediate now, which grade didn't exist when they were last eligible for it. But disappointment for a big club like that, and just I think the last 2 years of group games, is it 1 win out of 10 games? That kind of speaks volumes now of maybe where things have been heading for them, unfortunately.
It does, and I'm desperate sorry to see him going. I hate seeing any team going down. But as regards Adair, and you've heard me saying it, I've heard it definitely said it twice before about Adair, that what I saw on the programme didn't match what I was seeing on the field. And I would have been terribly surprised if Adair hadn't won last Sunday. And I think they sent out a very loud message, not just by beating Ballybrown, but the manner in which they beat Ballybrown. But look, South Liberty's battled, and I suppose last year it was a carbon copy of last year. They went into the game 1 point better, 1 point worse off than their opponents last year. This year, it was Adair 2 points, South Liberty's 1 point. Last year, it was Garrisplan 1 point, South Liberty's no point. Absolutely identical situation, 1 point behind their opponents. And whilst they pulled a spectacular goal-scoring performance against Garrisplan this year, I could not see it happening this year. First of all, Adair would have been wary of what happened in that game last year. Plus the fact that Adair just had got things right at the right time to save their bacon. And I suppose Adair will be saying to themselves at this stage, gosh, we could have done much better than this had we got our ducks in a row earlier in the campaign.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't tally, Tom, as I said, Adair being in trouble with the squad that they have. And look, they stayed up quite safely in the finish, but they will be doing soul searching between this and next year to ensure that there won't be a repeat. And I you have to pay credit to Declan Hannon. It's fair to say, in fairness, he dragged the whole thing by the scruff of the neck in the last 3 games.
Yeah, no, he switched to the forwards, and it seems to pay more.
When Declan Hannon was needed most, he was there, which he has been with Limerick over the years. And when his club were in crisis and in the trenches, by God, he played a major part in digging him out of it,
Yeah, okay. That's it for the senior. Matt, I'm conscious now we have our guest waiting in the wings, so we will come back to the other hurling later on in the show. We've Josh Ryan joining us momentarily, so we'll stay on senior. We'll go to senior football now.
They could do with a score. It's coming in, Brilliant. Well done, Josh Ryan. That was a mighty free. And it's 7-3.
Okay, delighted to say we're joined by Limerick and Ula's Josh Ryan. Josh, nice score there. Just come back a couple of years ago, but in a Munster final against Kerry. How's all with yourself?
All is good now, yeah. Body's feeling good, and I suppose not as fit as I'd like to be at the moment, but I suppose getting there step by step with the resources available to us there with our own club, and I suppose with Limerick as well at the moment. So no, things are good now, thank God. Good.
Yeah, it's good to see you back in Limerick. I was going to say in the green. You weren't wearing the green too often. You were wearing the white in goals, but also back then outfield more recently with the club. If people are trying to think what injury did you have, it was a broken femur. Am I right in saying?
No, broken tibia. So broken
tibia. Sorry, lower down. Yeah. So a long recovery. I think since around October 22, wasn't it?
16th of October 2022. To the date. So it's been a long time coming around, I suppose, with regard to recovery, and I suppose the injury itself didn't being so I suppose serious. I suppose that I think I've been in a position to be playing again, probably not, but I suppose there's a small bit of structure and resilience. The hard work kind of paid off, thankfully. So that's great to be back.
I was observing you on the sideline last year with Ula. I don't know were you officially the manager, but you were certainly seemed to be acting like it in terms of shouting the lads on and all that and encouraging. It must have been frustrating to be in that position, because obviously you're one of the main men for the club, and you obviously want to see Ula succeed. So there's probably only so much you feel you could have done on the line, but it's just one of those things you had to suppose you wanted to give back something while you were unable to play, I suppose.
Unfortunately, yeah, I was left on the sideline, but no, it was nice, I suppose, to get an insight into coaching, and it's something that I'll probably look to later on in my, I suppose, life. So no, it was nice to actually go in and start coaching the lads, and I suppose get a feel for it. Obviously, look, everyone wants to be out there playing, but unfortunately, the longevity of a playing career now seems to be getting shorter and shorter with the calendar getting, I suppose, more and more full with I suppose more games, and I suppose the seasons are now longer nearly than anything. There's no real break unless you're knocked out with the club early, and if you're playing 2 codes, it makes it very difficult as well. But no, it was great to give something back to the club. I suppose the club were always there for me as well as a player and always supporting me. So it was nice to give something back.
Yeah, Matt.
Josh, just speaking on that, I saw you on the sideline as well, and you were on the sideline when you beat my own club in the under 20 beat Ballylanders. Did you get a new appreciation in that 12 months when you were on the sideline of the difficulties that are facing managers and mentors?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very difficult position to be in when you're looking in and you can see, I suppose, what's going wrong. But if you're a player and you're in it, it feels completely different. It's you might not be getting the same, I suppose, insight as to what is actually happening. It's fine looking in from the sideline and saying just do this, this, and this, but it's very difficult when you're in the thick of it. To get them messages across first of all, and then to actually kind of implement them as best you can. Because at the end of the day, you're in the middle of a game, and I suppose games ebb and flow in all different directions. And it's between stoppages and games and trying to get your structure back. And it just depends. Any given day is different,
Josh, is it something that you would see yourself doing when your playing career is over, morphing into management and coaching and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I'm not so sure the managerial kind of stuff now would suit me, but I prefer to be more hands-on with the coaching side of it. It's like I have a degree in strength and conditioning as well, and I did that over in college in Thurles for 3 years. So that kind of has, I suppose, put me in a position where I can kind of go down that line, or else I can go down solely, I suppose, football coaching, if you want to call it that. But it's definitely something I look towards in the future. But I'll focus now on playing, I suppose, for another while, and hopefully I won't be put in a position to be coaching again too soon.
Tom?
Yeah. You got back with Limerick earlier in the year. I think round 6 or in the league, maybe 5 or 6. I don't think anyone of us in the media or who maybe outside the Limerick circle saw you wearing the number 1 jersey. Tell us, how did that come about, and how did that conversation maybe start to come into fruition with Jimmy and the backroom team?
I suppose the biggest issue I had was probably fitness. Going back with Limerick, and I didn't have that much training behind me. And I don't know, did Jimmy think that he could utilise me with, I suppose, being, I suppose, so tall in goals for one, and I suppose having a big old boot of a ball probably helped that as well. So I played in goals on a number of occasions underage with the club, and I actually remember the first time I played in Gold Zula was against Newcastle West in Newcastle West, and we actually got lettered in the first round of the minor football championship when we actually played Newcastle West in a semi-final in Martinstown, above Martinstown, ended up losing by 2 points, and actually didn't concede any goal the same day. But we played that minor championship in goals. So I suppose I'd some small bit of experience behind me, thankfully.
And then I suppose the way the season went with Limerick, it was certainly challenging the league campaign. I think it's fair to say. Obviously, any team relegated has had things going against them. But in fairness, in the Tailteann Cup, you lost it down in the first round, and maybe people were scratching their heads thinking, when is this going to turn around? And you managed to win. I think it was in the 3 games in a row, if my memory serves correctly. And there seemed to be a real cohesion about the team in those 3 games. Now it kind of unravelled against Sligo, but for that maybe 6 or 8 week period in the from maybe even the Cork game onwards, things were looking a lot better maybe than they had been in some of the league games.
Yeah, I suppose at the end of the league, we kind of got our act together a small bit. We were kind of, I don't know, injury kind of hindered us a lot. Like there was a lot of fellas injured, and I suppose having that window after the Cork game gave us an opportunity to, I suppose to improve and kind of show the camaraderie there within the group, because there is a very good group there, and there's 40 fellas who want to be there, and everyone's there for the better of Limerick football. And it's important that we kind of keep on going down that route. But yeah, I know, like, it probably finished up as positive as it could have finished up. Obviously, look, we didn't perform the best on the day up against Sligo, but like we did have a good running streak. Like, we lost to Offaly in the league, and then we ended up giving them a good clipping blow in McNeville Park, and played Tipperary, London, and got a good run against a good Sligo team, to be fair. And then obviously haven't played against Down in the first round, and then going on to win it. We did quite well in patches, but look, there's obviously room for improvement there.
Josh, being a goalkeeper, do you see that as permanent? Because I just remind you that you are blazing a trail and racing away in the race for the Golden Boot in the Limerick Football Championship. So, will there be a temptation to return to the forwards, or is goalkeeper at inter-county level something that's maybe of a permanent nature?
Personally, I hope it's not of a permanent nature, but I'd play wherever I'm put, wherever I'm given a jersey. It doesn't bother me where I play once I'm playing. No, yeah, look, it's obviously the plan is to get back out to field, and I suppose playing in goals this year was just a stepping stone to get back out to field. So I'd be hoping, to make an appearance out to field this year with Limerick,
Yeah. Have you any fixation or what ideas are you pro or for the current system of the split season? Because there seems to be murmurings of discontent about it. Where do you stand on it?
If you're a team that's winning and you're a team that's competing in county finals and going further in competitions, it makes it very, very difficult, because if you're a college student, like you've no real break, or if you're involved in intercounty panels, you don't really have a break. You are training like from November or December with your intercounty panel, and then you're going back to the club in June, and then the championship is from June, obviously, all the way up until October, and like there isn't much of a break there from where you can kind of separate your time from sports and kind of do stuff with family and partners and stuff like that. So it is hard to make time to I suppose have a life outside of football, and that's probably the most challenging part about it at the moment.
Yeah, I think Josh, on that maybe the way competitions have gone, because we're kind of ignoring the fact that if you rewind the clock, the club championships were, I wouldn't say straight knockout, but they were maybe a little bit more condensed. There was no Tailteann Cup, so there was, teams were out a lot earlier. They've added to the competitions, but obviously they can't add weeks to the year. So, and then you put in, as you said, maybe a college student who might be on a Sigerson team, and it's really, and they might be playing 20s with his club or whatever. It's really asking a lot of maybe certain players. Now, I know, as you say, if you're successful, maybe sometimes there's drawbacks to that. There's also maybe positives in terms of getting breaks. But yeah, it seems to be, it doesn't seem to suit everyone, I think it's fair to say. But maybe if you can look at it from the point of view, do you think maybe having a block of intercounty is probably better than the start that it had become before? Maybe, I know, again, you maybe want a bit of a break between the two, but you don't want to be going from flipping from one to the other 2 or 3 times in the season. Is it good that the intercounty thing has its own complete window, where teams can focus on everything for a block of 3, 4, 5 months?
Yeah, I do believe it's better off having, I suppose, your intercounty block and then your club block, because it's very hard to come from intercounty football back to your club, because you're not spending time with the fellas you're going to be playing with. Whereas at least if you're back with the club, you're back with the club and you're wholeheartedly in the club, and you're not. It's not a distraction going down to the club, but it takes away from the rhythm of the group. If you're all going to be separating in the middle of a season and then going back playing intercounty football as well, then again, and then you're leaving your club mates behind again for another however many weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, and then you're going back in with them again. So it makes it very difficult to kind of bond properly, I suppose, with your team and kind of implement your structure. You know, like it's hard to go away and play challenge matches as a group. If they kind of go back to that older system where they, I suppose, introduce that block in the middle of this inter-county season, and then go back again with the county, and then back again with the club. Like, so it makes it very difficult.
Yeah, yeah. We'll get your thoughts now on the Senior Football Championship in a second, but from Ula's point of view, I don't know, do you look at it positively or negatively? Because you kind of finished in that no man's land. Obviously, staying in the grade can be sometimes the first goal, but obviously you'd have loved to maybe knock on the door of a quarter final, and even before the last round, that was out of reach. So how do you and maybe the lads and the backroom team, how do you interpret the season that was for you in the Limerick Senior Football Championship?
It's probably disappointing, to be honest with you. Like at the start of the year, we set out kind of not standards, but we kind of set ourselves a goal of getting out of the group, and obviously, look, we kind of were disappointing in the first two games. Against Galty Gales, we had no real rhythm, and we kind of not lacked structure, but I don't know, do we have enough training done? Prior to that game, and like you can see, we left ourselves down badly in that game, and even the Father Casey's game, we were good for the first 30 minutes. It was 5-4 at half time, and then completely fell off a cliff. It probably is very disappointing for us, and it's disappointing for the lads as well, because at the end of the day, we don't think we're a bad team. We have a lot of very, very good footballers. We have a very good age profile at the moment. And it's kind of like we're in a county final in 2019, quarterfinalists 2020, same in 21. And to be fair, the Limerick Senior Football Championship is very, very competitive. Everyone is beating each other, and it's if you're structured, you'll qualify. And that's probably what we lacked, I suppose, earlier on in the year, is just a small bit of structure. And we've left ourselves down now, and we're out of the championship, and we're looking at each other in a pub and talking about what we could have done and what we should have done. But I think it's something we need to work on next year, is kind of nailing down stuff, and I suppose getting everyone that was involved this year back again, and having the right cut of it.
Yeah, the group itself, I think, was it a win and a draw you ended up with. So you kind of, I sense from you there that you maybe finished maybe where you deserved to. Maybe you'd obviously like to finish with a win against Killowen Palace Kenry, but maybe you probably just didn't have enough in the tank maybe to challenge the top three that ended up there, and that's something that you'll have to reset for next season.
Yeah, I suppose finishing fifth is probably fair enough, given the start that we have. So it means we got to win and a draw against the county champions at the end of the day, and it's they're the ones that are setting the standards every year, and have done for the last since 2019 really, we need to get to that, and we know we can compete with them on any given day. And we've kind of we always have good games with Newcastle West, they're really tough and intense games, and I suppose there's a lot of physicality that is brought to the table from both clubs in them kind of games. So it's something we need to look at ourselves, I suppose. But I suppose we deserve to kind of finish fifth this year.
Josh, the fact that your game with Kildare Palace Kenry was a dead rubber, do you think that the structure and the format needs some tweaking? I understand there's a straw in the wind that says that next year it's the bottom two in each group are going to be playing off in the relegation semi-finals, that second last will play last in one and the other way around. What would be your thoughts on that?
I suppose, it's you're putting yourself into hot water if you're not getting results in the first two games, and that's what teams now will be chomping at the bit for, is get results in the first two games to avoid any hope of relegation whatsoever. I think the structure that was there in kind of COVID with the 4 groups of 3 was really good. Because you've 2 games in the group, and then you've obviously the bottom teams in each group have to play relegation semi-final anyway. And it sets everyone up then for quarterfinals. And it just, I don't know, I just thought that structure was, I suppose, it was enjoyable to play. You knew you had two big games to play, and obviously then you know where you stand. Like, a win and a draw or a win and a loss, you're still going to get through to a kind of a quarterfinal. You'd be hoping that anyway, given points difference and all that, if it comes into play. But look, it's going to be, I suppose, going to be hard next year now. I suppose trying to get fellas to commit really, for the start of the championship, and it's you've a lot to lose. Like if it's going to be the last two in each group facing relegation.
Josh, you lauded the competitiveness of Limerick football, the Limerick Club Football Championship there earlier on. In terms of quality football, how would you rate the Limerick Football Championship?
I suppose it's not bad quality. It's just there's a lot of good quality in it. There's a lot of good quality footballers within Limerick football. Maybe it doesn't get the credit it deserves sometimes. Sometimes there's great games in it, and obviously, look, every championship has its bad games and its great games. But to be fair, it's so competitive. It's to be fair, now we got a good beating off Father Casey's, but like the other games that we played were all very close, and there was a lot of good football in them. There's a lot of good scores kicked in them. I suppose it makes it difficult if you're a club with that's playing, I suppose, hurling as well, and if you're playing at a high level as well, it makes it even more difficult because everyone wants to go play hurling and everyone wants to go, I suppose, represent Limerick and try to get onto that next step, regards hurling. And I suppose we're just a poor relation maybe, and that's probably what's the biggest problem with it,
Yeah, and looking ahead to this weekend at the quarterfinals that we have there, Galty Gales, obviously a team that were in your group. They're facing off against against Adair. Sorry, it slipped my head. And Napiershig in the other quarterfinal against
Father Casey's.
Sorry, just complete brain meltdown here. What do you think about those four teams? Is it a lot of people would probably lean straight away towards Adair and maybe Father Casey's, who have been at the semi-finals for last year. What do you think heading into the weekend?
Either of them two games aren't going to be any pushover. To be fair, like Galty Gales are set up very well. Defensively, they kind of like to pull bodies behind the ball. And I think Adair will find it hard to break them down. But again, Adair have a lot of class as well. To I suppose punish teams if they catch them on a turnover and like that. And they've obviously, I suppose, a really good coaching team in Adair with Morris, and they've Harry Gleason there as well. Both teams are going to have the four teams are going to have their homework done on each other. But I'd probably be leaning towards the Adair and Father Casey's myself.
Yeah, I think from the outside we're a little bit glad as neutrals. Well, I know I'm completely neutral. Matt is a slight leaning towards Ballylanders, obviously, but looking from the outside, I think it's good that Adair and Newcastle Westman not meet in the final, because we want to see another club give that a go. And I know you were there. Ballylanders have been there in the last few seasons, but maybe three in a row finals of the same two teams it doesn't really whet the appetite for neutrals, and obviously because of their not topping group, it's thrown that out the window this year. So yeah, that's maybe what we want to see in the competitiveness. At the other end, Josh, the relegation one, the game that no one wants to be involved in, Ballysteen and Ballylanders. There's going to be tension and suspense in the quarterfinals, but I tell you, there must be bags of it here, because as so many clubs know, when you fall off that senior perch, there is absolutely no guarantee you're going to come back out of intermediate. There's a lot of pressure on these two clubs to try and stay at senior. I'm pretty sure you'll agree.
Yeah, 100%. It's an absolute dogfight when you're in that position. I suppose we were lucky enough to avoid it on a number of occasions. It's a tough position to be in. No one wants to get relegated. Again, it's kind of all these rural clubs that are, I suppose, suffering more than anything, given the population within the city now, between Mungret, the Piershig,
Monaleen, of course,
powerhouse and Monaleen as well. There's strength in numbers, So, look, I don't know. I just wouldn't like to be playing either two teams in a relegation a relegation final, because I suppose tactics kind of go out the window, you know, and it's a winner takes all. So yeah, I don't know who I'd have my money on now, but
Yeah,
I won't take any sides. But
You're being diplomatic now, Josh.
yeah.
if you're involved, you won't care if it's 1 point to no score or 3 points to do or whatever. It's just about winning the game and kind of forgetting about it, because as we know, then the following season everyone starts on an even keel. You mentioned Josh there, and it's something that maybe I'm not trying to blindside you here and put you on the spot, but you mentioned there maybe football being the poor relation. And look, I think anyone would know that hurling is dominant in Limerick at the moment, even across other sports. You know, hurling has really, given the success, has really taken over. Football, do we you know, can we look at other angles to try and find players and develop players? I know obviously your club mate yours has gone in to manage the 20s. One idea that I had, and it's certainly not a unique or new idea, but you know, as someone myself who's played in the lower divisions, and you'd often see quite good players there, but they just maybe don't always have the platform to really express themselves. You know, is there a case for divisional teams or something like that feeding into the senior championship? You know, if you had, as it were, maybe a West Limerick team that featured clubs from maybe junior down or maybe even intermediate down, that could find their way in the championship. And the same in, you know, some of the city clubs that aren't as strong, because as we know, sometimes guys can be on a very maybe a weak adult team. They could be one of the best players around, but they just know themselves they'll never play senior. They'll never get that platform. You know, Kerry has that divisional system that gives all players, I suppose, an equal chance. Is that something that Limerick football should maybe contemplate into the future, even if it was, you know, just as a trial basis to see could we unearth some gems around the place?
Yeah, it'll definitely be something to look at going forward, you know, to, I suppose, get a small bit of recognition for them. I suppose smaller clubs that aren't going to make that jump to senior level, you know. There is a lot of good footballers out there. I suppose the biggest thing with playing inter-county football now is the commitment issue. You know, it's you're 5-6 nights a week, you're training, you know, you're putting in extra work with video, you're trying to do stuff extra yourself. You have to look after your diet. That's probably not my strongest point, but these things all come into it. And you know, it is tough. Like you have to spend time with family, you have to miss events, you know, weddings, you know, and that's probably the biggest downer, I suppose, of playing county football. At the end of the day, if you want to play at that level, they're the sacrifices you have to make. But a divisional championship, even if they were to do a city, again, West, South, you know, East Limerick kind of championship, we're all players of all clubs kind of to come under that umbrella, you know, and come in and play kind of a divisional championship. Yeah, it'll be very good. It'll be very entertaining, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm sure there's players in clubs, and I don't want to name any clubs, but you know, they might look at it and say, geez, we may never, as I say, may never even get to intermediate, because there just isn't a player pool there for them to really be there, and they're kind of stuck, because no one wants to, generally speaking anyway, no one wants to leave their home club, and they obviously can't in a lot of cases. So yeah, I think there's probably merit in it. We won't keep you too much longer, Josh. There's one other thing that's
I just want to come in
Go
there,
on, Matt,
Tom.
sorry. Yeah, work away.
You and I were chatting in McNeville Park earlier on this year, and I remember saying to you, what about hurling? Is hurling and Josh Ryan, have they parted company, or what is the story? You told me at that stage that you more or less that you were going to concentrate on football. Is it still the same story? Because certainly you're missed on the hurling fields.
I don't know about that now. So they're doing fairly okay without me, says you. But look, I suppose given this year, it was just about getting back and getting my body in, I suppose, the best position that I could have to even, I suppose, tugged out for Limerick, and I suppose then playing out the field with the club. That's all I wanted to do, was just get back in the field and get a small bit fit. Look, I'm absolutely chuffed and delighted that I am, but I suppose getting the body back to 100% is the most important thing for myself now. It's not a never say never, you know. Look, I'd love to be playing hurling this year, but at the end of the day, I wanted to get the leg 100% before I suppose went back playing hurling. And look, hopefully next year, you know, I go back playing hurling, all right.
And your thoughts on your teammates having a fantastic run this year?
Yeah, sure. They look like the strongest team in it now, to be fair. You know, they've showed all the signs of it. You know, they've Derek McGrath down there as well, like, and I'm sure he brings a very good, I suppose, setup. And I suppose he's his eyes dots or his eyes dots dotted and his T's crossed, So look, they won't lack structure down there. They never do. And I suppose it's just getting over the line now is the most important thing for the lads and getting that monkey off the back. Because look, there's loads of good hurlers below there. Just talent and abundance. They have a good age profile, and they have massive numbers as well, which is a huge thing. So no, I've no doubt that they have a massive opportunity there to go in, I suppose, win the semi-final and then take it from there and hopefully get over the line.
Yeah, two more hurdles for them to go. Josh, finally, and I'm not au fait with all the proposals, but the Football Review Committee, I haven't really asked any current standing intercounty players on this, but lots of talk about lots of changes. Is it needed, first of all? And, is there any of what you've heard that you think that makes sense, or maybe even the opposite, that doesn't make any sense? There's talks of a 4-point goal. There's kicking points from out the arc, which maybe might favour a big boot like yourself. There's all talks of keeping guys back in your own half and all that sort of stuff, and even the goalkeeper might no longer be able to come out. So from what you've heard, what are you seeing and what you like or maybe dislike?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, is it going to change it much really, because if you've teams set up in that 40-meter arc, they're going to be set up there anyway.
There'll be a wall there, won't there?
There's still going to be 12 bodies back to field. Fair enough, goalkeepers can't come out as far, but I still think you're still going to have that kind of defensive style football, within a lot of counties around the country, and I suppose they're trying to limit the damage as much as they can and stay in games for as long as they can, and that's what a lot of teams are doing now, is just staying in games as long as they can, and I suppose get into the melting pot. But the 2-point rule is a huge change, from the 40-meter arc. But it's going to be very hard for referees to manage it. First of all, you're going to have linesmen who are going to have to be mic'd up, if they're going to be inside or outside the 45. And look, it's going to get messy, in my opinion, because in club games it's going to be very difficult. It's very hard to get umpires to do games in club games. Never mind get up linesmen as well. It's normally you see fellas from 2 different clubs, just doing the line there as a favour for a referee, more than anything, and it's going to be very hard for them to manage, so. And then the 4-point goal, if you've a game that's very one-sided, it's going to be even more one-sided now. It's going to be, there's going to be a massive points difference between each game, so it's a burn against, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you had Dublin playing not Westmeath, or trying to think maybe Longford or someone like that in Leinster Championship, and we've seen scores like 5-21 to maybe 10 or 11 points. So, as you say, suddenly those 5 goals are worth 20 points instead of 15. It's you're right. It's a valid point in that. Look, we'll watch, I suppose, from afar and see how those what do they call them, sandbox games or whatever it is. We'll see how they go. There's talks have been broadcast on TV, so we'd be interested to see how it goes. Might suit you all right to be at the edge of the square. You might get an awful lot more ball if the likes of Cal Downs are starting to shoot from 45 meters and accidentally dropping them into your hands. You might profit with a few 4-pointer goals, but a lot to be decided. Look, Josh, thanks very much, I think, for your time. You've been fantastic. Great to hear from you, and great to hear that the injury, I suppose, is very, very nearly back to full health, and we'll look forward to maybe seeing a green jersey and maybe not the goalie's jersey in the future. We'll see how outfield for Limerick hopefully in 2025. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Josh.
Cheers, Matt. Cheers, Tom. Thanks very much. Cheers. See you.
Okay. Yeah, thanks very much. Josh,
it's great. It's great to see him back. 2023 wasn't the same without him, in not wearing the Ulan or the June jerseys, and I've no doubt, doing hurling and hurling in general will be better if Josh decides to come back next year. And, he's a fantastic man in both codes, no question about it. And, whilst he has kept I should have put it in there, he's kept a number of clean sheets while he's been with Limerick, even though they've lost some of the games. It certainly couldn't be attributed to Josh, but I have an awful feeling that he would be far more effective at the other end of the field, and hopefully we might see that in 2025.
Yeah, we saw I think one match he was the goalkeeper, he's Limerick's top scorer, I think maybe more than once, but he'll be hoping to be sending those bullets over from from further up the field and not having to trot up and down. We've
And
covered plenty there.
he is ahead and in the Golden Boot.
Golden
Now
Boot,
he's only
yeah.
2 points ahead of Alan Daly, his former ruler clubmate, who's now with St. Kieran's. But they can't change. The only one that can change that's in the list is Dylan Cronin, who is 8 points behind, and John Hutton, who is 10 points behind.
Yeah, and they both have
Josh
at least
might
one
be
more day
picking up
out.
the Golden Boot award. It depends on what happens in the concluding stages of the championship.
Yeah. Just to touch on those two quarterfinals, we have to come back as well to hurling and camogie ladies football. We've loads still to cover, Matt. Those two quarterfinals, how were you seeing them? We saw last year what happened.
With Josh, and I go with your analysis of it. That it looks like a dare, and it looks like Father Cases to me. I've seen both of them. Now Father Cases, like we were talking about, Moline being on a 4-match winning run. So are Father Cases in the football.
Yeah, beaten in
I
round
saw
one.
them in the league final where they beat Newcastle West. Now, counted for very, very little in that Newcastle West were down all the Limerick players, and Father Casey's weren't as badly hit on the night, and they met 2 weeks later, and of course Newcastle West reversed the result. But Father Casey's have grown into this competition since, Tom. And it's a repeat of last year's quarter-final between the teams when we had a goal fest.
Yeah, in an absolute mud bath in Niskeaton, I think it was.
Yeah,
It was 4. They both got 4 goals, didn't they? 4-14 to 4-3 or
3
something like
to the Piercy ended with 4-3 anyway.
Yeah, I think it was 4-14 or 4-13 as well. For
they had more goals than points anyway,
Yeah.
But the conditions contributed to it in that way. So I think it will be much tighter on Saturday. I would go with Josh's analysis on that these games, they're not gimmies, and I'd say the same about Galtee Gales. Galtee Gales aren't going to roll over, no question at all about it. Now, this is a repeat of the semi-final of 2021, I think, when they met in the semi-final and Adair won it. They won it in the finish, but it was tight for a lot of the game. So I expect that these games will be a lot closer than people think, but I would agree with his analysis that I think it's Adair and Father Casey's for the semi-finals. Now, you have to know where Adair are at. We've been used to Adair coming out of the group stages with 8 and 10 points.
Yeah.
They've come out with 7 this year.
And
how many clubs in the competition would give their right hand to get 7 points?
Yeah, absolutely.
But to Adair, it's not what Adair do, at the moment.
No.
But look, they're in the semi-final or in the quarter-final, and I'm sure that they will not be looking beyond Galtee Gales, because coming down the road is a repeat of the last 3 county finals. So,
Newcastle West to play the winners of Galtee Gales and Adair, and then the winners of the Piercy versus Father Casey's will face Mungert St. Paul. So we will definitely, as I said already, have a new county finalist. Matt, we've still have ladies football and, as I said, camogie to cover. Just to come back to hurling briefly, the Premier Intermediate Championship, it reached round, what are we now, round 6?
6.
Yeah, 6 is in the books, yeah.
Just to give an analysis, just to give a summary of an overview of it, Newcastle West are in the semi-final. Blackrock, Glenroe and Piercy are out of the championship. And there are 4 clubs vying for 3 places in the semi-final. There's Garryspillane, Effin, Bruff and Granny-Ballingarry. Now, the first 3 have 8 points. Bruff or Ballingarry have 6. By my calculation, if Garryspillane beat na Piercy, Granny-Ballingarry are out.
Yeah, it should more or less finish it off, really. Granny-Ballingarry are into snookers required, aren't they?
They will have lost to whoever the winner of Bruff and Effin is.
Yeah, so they lose out in head-to-head there, yeah.
They will.
Even if, yeah. It's basically the job for Granny-Ballingarry is to get to 8 and I suppose and see, but realistically, as I said, they're in snookers required territory. You'd probably foresee the top 4 will end as it is, but maybe what configuration yet to be decided. And look, Randall and
Yeah,
Gary.
the configuration is terribly important, because the team that finished fourth will face Newcastle West, who I was hugely impressed with last week, despite being without Ethan Hurley, Colin Foley, and Dermot Kelly.
Yeah, and they just
Hugely
keep
impressed with Newcastle West. Anybody that had any doubts about the credentials of Newcastle West, I can tell you they're here to stay.
Yeah, well, maybe they're not here to stay. Maybe they're here to go up to senior.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But I know
they have
what
arrived
you
as
meant.
a force, and they're here to stay as a force. That's the point I'm making.
Yes,
And,
but 6 wins from 6.
On Thursday night, and I hate saying it because Paddy Landers and Ballysteen are already involved in relegation battle on Sunday evening. Napirshick and Glenroe are playing in the deferred first round game, which has now morphed into being a de facto relegation battle.
Yeah.
Because the loser, both teams have lost 5 games, and actually, and you couldn't imagine saying this about Napirshick. They've lost 10 games in a row going back to.
I was going to say they beat Cappamore, Glenroe and Cappamore last year.
Glenroe and Cappamore in the first and second rounds last year.
Yeah, and they haven't won since.
That's 10 games ago, but I think they'll probably change it. And unfortunately, from my point of view, I think they'll probably change it on Thursday night, because I saw them recently against Bruff. I've seen them 3 or 4 times this year, and they've been, like in 1 or 2 of the games, they've done everything but win the game nearly, But they did, they came with a late spurt against Bruff, which probably distorted the game a small bit. Bruff rearranged their forces. Sean Finn went back to centre back. He was magnificent there. Paul Brown was incredible at centre half forward. He got 6 or 7 points all from play, but they hung in there. Bruff at one stage, I think, going down into the final minutes, were 7 or 8 points up, and the Napirshick suddenly, Pow O'Neill got 2 goals. He got 2-7. I have an idea that's the second time this year he has accounted for 2-7 for Napirshick.
Yeah,
this guy is a very, very useful forward now.
He is. What seems to be going Napirshick's way is they're scoring plenty. They've scored.
They're scoring, and Glenroe or not. And, now you just wonder what hangover Glenroe will have after the trouncing from Carrispellan. Now, they were down a couple of players. Like Glenroe are in a situation like that. At this stage, that the tally from last year's players that are missing is 8. So you can take it from that. Add to that, they were without Sean Clancy, who was abroad briefly, David McCarthy and Bob Froon, who were both injured. So like the gods, are not in sync with Glenroe at the moment. But look, they'll give it all on Thursday night and see what it takes them.
Yeah, Thursday night, 8 p.m. in McNeville Park, Glenroe, and the Napirshick, as Matt said, basically a relegation final. The winner will have the head-to-head advantage and will relegate the other. If it's a draw, Napirshick are still firmly, while not over the line, they're in a very good position due to their scoring.
They're in the driving seat, and let's face it, but they play Garrisplan the final round, and Glenroe play Granabellangary, who, like, the stakes are going to be huge for Granabellangary. But if Granabellangary finish with 3 teams on the same points, if one of those isn't Carrispellan, then they're out.
They're out anyway. Yeah. So they need
because there's Bruff, Effin, and who's the other one? Did I say?
Bruff, Effin, and Carrispellan are all on 6 or 8 at the moment.
Yeah, that's it. And there'll be 4 and 8 if we'll say, well, Bruff and Effin have to go out of it. Because they're playing
one of them will get to 8. Yeah. Okay. Look, there's. I just don't see Granabellangary.
If it comes down to 3-way, like the Granabellangary beat Effin. They beat Garrispellan.
Yeah, but only narrowly as well. So there's.
And if that team happens to be Bruff, if it is Bruff, Granabellangary, and Garrispellan, it is Bruff are in trouble.
Yeah, because they got such a heavy defeat to the Bouncers.
Yeah, they lost by 13 points to Garrispellan.
Yeah. So I suppose Granabellangary's best hope really is they want to see Napirshick winning their last 2 games, or certainly beating Garrispellan to keep their hopes alive. But look, they beat the Rockies at the weekend. In fairness to them, they're not letting it go easy. So
Oh, not at all. Not at all. No. There's huge credit due to them because they lost the first two to Newcastle West and to Bruff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Okay.
it means now that they have won 3 out of 4 since.
Yeah, they have. Just to look down the grades, the intermediate championship, Croke Kilfinny will face Cappamore in one quarter final. Kilmallock and St. Kieran's will face in the relegation final, while Bury and Knockany will meet in the other quarter final. The semi-finalists are Maru Boher and who's the other team has escaped me here, Matt. Maru Boher won one group. Johanna, yes, who did suffer defeat against Croom on the last day, but they had their business done, as did Maru Boher. They had also 4 wins from 4, but lost out on the last day. So that's the intermediate rank. So teams going out there: Palace Green, Hospital Herberstown, and Croom all missing out. Mungret St. Paul's staying in the grade but missing out. And as I said, Kilmallock and St. Kieran's will play for a right to stay in the grade for next season. Premier Junior, the newly formed 12-team grade, Fina, Kilmeady and Kilteely Drumcreen won their respective groups, so they're into the last semi-finals. And Drumculloher Bartford will meet St. Pat's, who squeezed out Crocora last weekend. Caherline knocked out Monaghay, and they're in a quarter-final. Will they meet Knockaderry, who finished second in their group. The relegation playoff in that group will see Askeaton, Kilcorn and Desmonds, or AK Desmonds as they're officially known. I think they will face All Christians to stay in that grade. Junior A,
Ballysteen, Kilcorn and Desmonds.
Yeah. I don't know the Ballysteen in it now. That's contentious at this point. It is. The grade below, Junior A, Castletown Ballygrant won Group A by a tight enough margin, and Monaleen were group winners in Group 2. Clahan, they won through, and they will face Patrickswell. Rakiel will face. Rakiel did enough to get through in that group as well, ahead of Gary Spillane. And there's a city derby in one quarter final, Clahan versus Patrickswell, and a West derby in the other with Temple Glanton against Rakiel. Let me just see. Bruff and Blackrock, a South derby to decide who stays in that grade. Junior B update, we'll come to that, Matt. We're still kind of at the divisional part of it, so
I'll give you what I have. Ula are the Junior B champions of the East. Nakan are the runners-up. Mungret are the Junior B champions.
Football you're talking here now.
Yes, football. Yeah. Junior B champions of the city, Balnacurra Gales are the runners-up. The West final is on tonight between St. Kieran's and Knockaderry. And Broria are the South champions, and Galtee Gales are the runners-up. Now to hurling, I'm not as au fait with hurling, but I can tell you that the East final is between South Liberties and Ahan, and the South final is between Camogie Rovers and the Staker Wallace. And my understanding is that the lineup for the West final will be known on Saturday when the semi-finals are on, and I'm not too clear at what stage. I think the City are down to the semi-finals as well.
The City, Ballybrown are in the final to beat Kildare the weekend. They've won the group, and Kildare Palace Kenry will face Napier-Sheek in a semi-final. So there's one semi-final in that, as it were, because of the makeup of the competition. So Ballybrown will face either Napier-Sheek, Napier-Sheek's third team, or the Kildare Palace Kenry's second team in that City final. So yeah, there'll be the crossover then. I think it's on the 6th they're penciled in for. The quarterfinals in the hurling. At the football is it this weekend, the football quarterfinals?
It's this weekend.
Okay, yeah, they're trying
City and South are on this weekend.
Yeah, very good. Okay, right. That's, I think, it for hurling, and indeed men's football. We'll turn now, Matt, I think, to ladies football, and we know the pairings for the finals in both senior and intermediate. So I think you were out and about in one of the many multitude of games you were at. We have.
Yeah, I was at most. I had to get somebody to finish it for me so that I could get up to Mungret. But I was at most of Monaghay and St. Ailbe's, and it was a very good game of football, Tom. Very, very good game of football. I would have to say that, and they'd say, what's the standard like? And the evidence of this, it was very, very good. And I said to you off air that I thought the referee, with Sean Carey, his application of the advantage rule was excellent. We tend to criticise referees, at Lib, but you know, it's just something that I acknowledged, and I noticed it very, very much contributed to the free flowing of the game. And of course, you know, Monaghan were going for a 4 in a row, and that is now at an end. And like the first quarter, Tom only yielded 1 point, one solitary point in the 14th minute.
Right.
And but after that, then St. Ailbe's went 5 clear. Mairead Kavanagh got a goal, and it looked as if they had the upper hand, but somehow champions are champions, and they found a spot and got a couple of quick fire goals. Katrina Davis got one, and Eva Collins got the other. And they led at half time by a single point, and the lead changed hands shortly after half time when St. Ailbe's got a couple of points, and then they got 3 in a row. Monaghan to go 2 clear, and then entered Georgia Keane, the St. Ailbe's corner forward. She got 3 in a row to put her team back in front, and it looked destined for extra time when Eva Bainham equalised in the first minute of time added on. But there was enough time for Deverly Egan, the County Camogie player. She had come on as a sub. She kicked the lead point, and Mairead Kavanagh made it 2, and they won by 2 points, 112 to 2-7.
Right.
And
Yeah, so
on the balance of play, I don't think that Monaghan could have any complaints.
Yeah.
St. Ailbe's were very, very good on the day, and of course they came fired up because they've lost the last 2 finals to Monaghan, and you know, they look a very formidable side now, and they will face Ballylanders in the final, who in turn beat Old Mill. That game was switched at the last minute down to a Skeeton, and so it's going to be a very, very interesting final, and I'm looking forward to it. It's time for 3:30 on Sunday week in Cappamore. It will form a double header with the intermediate final between Knockany and Marubor.
Mungret St. Paul's.
Sorry, Mungret St. Paul's, my apologies. Knockany beat Marubor, Mungret St. Paul's.
Yeah.
Now, the senior B final is between Ula and Drumculloher Broadford. Now, that's a repeat of a second round game. Like Drumculloher Broadford had lost 4 games. They'd lost the 3 group games in the quarter final, and they certainly came good in this one to get to the B final. And the relegation final, these are all on the 6th now, Sunday week. The relegation final is between Galtee Gales and Fiohanna Castlemahon.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, the 2 Junior A semi-finals are also on that weekend. They're featuring St. Sinnans are playing Palace Green, and Croom are playing Monaleen in the Junior A Championship. It's down to the semi-finals in the Junior B and Junior C. I don't have the pairings for them yet. And it's down to the final in the novice, which will be between Old Mill, who beat Ballybrown, just to tell you, Tom, in the semi-final, and Drum Broadford.
Right, yeah. Okay, very good. Thanks for the update there. So Sunday the 6th will be a very, very busy day indeed. Yeah, as Matt said.
It will be Super Sunday ladies football in Limerick.
Yeah, as Matt said, the headline is the Tridental Senior Championship final between Ballylanders and St. Ailbe's, 3:30 p.m. in Cappamore, GA. Preceding that is Knockany versus Mungret St. Paul's, 2 sides that have been knocking on the door to come out of the grade and get back senior. In the case of Mungret, 1 p.m. start for that one. So a double header. Do head along to Cappamore for, I'm sure, a thrilling afternoon of ladies football on Sunday the 6th. Okay, Matt, I think we need to turn now to Camogie.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to this weekend, Tom. You know, we've a lot of Camogie this weekend, and we have 2 semi-finals. Newcastle West will entertain the Piershig on Saturday evening at 5:45. At the same time, Bruff will entertain a Han in there, because Newcastle West and Bruff finished top of their respective groups and got through to the finals, or got home advantage in the semi-finals, which it probably counts for something. And then in the B Championship, where's my head? It's Killedy against Cora, and it's
Monaleen against Adair.
Monaleen against Adair.
That's it. Yeah, very good.
And if we step down then to the Intermediate Championship, we have Granagh Ballingarry, Crow Kilfinny and Templetanton, Patrick Swell and Granagh Ballingarry.
Yeah.
And in the semi-final of the plate, now we don't have an A and a B, we have a cup and a plate in Camogie.
No saucers. Yeah.
The semi-final of the no saucers, plates,
Yeah.
And now there's only one semi-final in the intermediate plate because
the 7 team.
There was only 7 teams in the competition. Cappamore got a bye to the final, so Galway will be at home to Maru Boher in the other semi-final.
Okay.
The winner due to play Cappamore. But we're going to have 2 very interesting semi-finals, Tom. I'm really looking forward to it and going out to the Bruff and a Hand game hopefully on Saturday evening. And like Newcastle West are hot favourites, let's face it, but like the other 3 are going to have a say in that. Napirsik are certainly coming.
Yeah.
Bruff are coming side. A Hand, they have been there, Bruff and a Hand is going to be, both games should be crackers, because I saw Napirsik in the first round. They lost to Bruff and Atlaka in the first round, but they bounced back and they beat Cracora and they beat Monaleen and beat Monaleen convincingly, which was a bit of a surprise enough, in the second round. And that's going to be a very, very interesting game. So look, plenty to look forward to, Tom. Very, very busy weekend of Camogie, and like the ladies' football, the season is closing in very, very quickly.
Yeah, no, it is, yeah.
I don't have. There's 1 round remaining in the Junior A Camogie Championship.
Yeah,
and I don't know for what the pairings are likely to be, other than that one is certain, and that Blackrock and Effin are certainly going to be one of them because they have won all their games.
Okay, yeah, we'll see what falls out at the weekend and who's in the finals or the knockout stages of that one. Okay, Matt, I think we've covered plenty there in the last 80 odd minutes. Do feel free to share the chat with Josh Ryan if you see it as that. Anything else, Matt, on your mind? I know the Masters actually is one that comes to mind. They were defeated.
Oh, sorry, Tom. Yeah, I have a bit on the Masters. They're away this weekend to Tipperary, who are by far and away the best team in it at the moment.
Yeah.
As I explained to listeners and viewers last week, there are 6 teams in it. The top 2 going to the championship final. The teams 3 and 4 going to the Shield final. We look like missing out because of a defeat to Kildare last weekend, 123-411 in Clane. Now Limerick were down 4 points at half time, and they got 3 quick-fire goals after half time to establish a foothold in the game. But Kildare started sending over points from everywhere, and they ended up, as I said, 123-411. So Limerick have lost 3 games now. So the task facing Limerick at this stage in the Gaelic Masters, they're playing Tipperary in Borrisalee on Saturday evening at a time to be confirmed. I've heard 3 different times. I've heard 5, I've heard 7, and I've heard 2:30. Right. So anyone that would be minded to go to Borrisalee, please check before you go.
Yeah.
But they're facing a Tipperary team who have wiped the floor with everybody. They beat Galway in the first round, trounced Kildare, trounced Cork, and of course our friend Owen Brislane, who was in here with us 2 weeks ago, is their goalkeeper.
Right. Okay.
And I think we got a sense of how important the Masters is to Tipperary from our brief discussion on the Masters with him.
Yeah. Well, they've struck the right note so far, but hopefully Limerick can lower their colours for a week.
Yeah, but as I said, the task facing Limerick to stay afloat and they can't qualify for the championship final now at this stage, I would imagine, but they can qualify for the plate if they beat Tipperary, who are top, and if they beat Galway, who are second.
Yeah. Okay.
If there was ever a mountain to climb, Tom, that's it.
Yeah. All right. I think that's about it, Matt. Have we anything else left to say?
No,
We've
only
covered
wish
it
all
all,
the
we
teams
hope.
this weekend who are out, wish them the best of luck, because for most of them, it's, anyone that loses this weekend, it's the end of the road for this year.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Because
knockout.
we're into serious knockout championship now. It's knockout from here on in. Now there's a series of under 20 games on at the weekend as well, which are obviously not knockout. They're group stage games. But for anybody that's playing in the 4 championships, we'd say from senior, intermediate, junior A, and Premier Junior and Junior A, defeat is out.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Right. We shall chat to you again next week. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to share. And if indeed you're going to the senior games, let us know who you think will emerge victorious into the